You end up with a bunch of former hookers and prostitutes all over the streets. They can't work and they're doing drugs. Or,
I mean, like I can't even parody this anymore. I do something and then just like seconds later, Tim's just being worse.
Go round 2, second week in a row, another one of these stories. And I have to wonder, is this...
I have to wonder, if you're watching Daily Mail on a regular basis, and this is what Daily Mail decides to cover, that maybe this is a story or something that rather than it just continuously appear, it happens to be the source that you choose. You've clicked on female. This is an actual Daily Mail.
It's like intentionally trying to convince women to quit their jobs to be adult stars on OnlyFans. Or is it the reality that women are quitting their jobs because they would rather not work? I wonder.
What? Tim, try starting an OnlyFans. Try doing that in amongst all the other men who are on OnlyFans who have accounts, and a lot of them have some pretty damn hard bodies, and then see what competing with all of them and the hustle that you have to do online in order to promote yourself as a sex worker can be, what that's like. Every single time I've ever interviewed a sex worker who has an OnlyFans site, they've consistently said that it is a lot of work, it's very difficult, there's a lot of competition, there's a lot of other people. You hear the stories when they appear like this, of course, and all of a sudden, you know, everyone's like, oh, so it's that easy, right? Yeah, all you do is you spend like, I don't know, $50 on like a camera, and then you spend another 25 on like an LED light or something, and then you just take pictures of yourself, and then like, you know, horny perverts, coomers, if you will, on the internet, they fall over themselves to empty their wallets. That's what happens.
All of the arguments around gender norms, and I can't help but notice, as most of you probably do, you go on social media and you look at the average female hobbyist account, and the female will post images of herself.
The female?
The average male hobbyist account, less likely. It's a tendency.
What is this? Again, where are these things ever based on? I feel like, you know, Fresh and Fit comes on the podcast once. They give him all of the red pill ideology, and then he's just fully red pilled, and then he's like, so it's a matter of fact. We know this to be true, unfortunately, that this is just the case, that when women post on social media accounts, they only post pictures of themselves, but men will post the fish. Yeah, they'll show you their hobbies. Often it's hunting because they're manly men, burly men, if you will. A lot of lumberjacks and stuff. They'll show you the logs, you know, they'll show you the logs of the wood they've cut. They'll show you the catch and how they feed their families and provide them warmth because that's what men do. But women are just self-obsessed, completely self-obsessed. Yeah, not anything to do perhaps with, you know, stats that I've made up. But it's just known.
But of course, the meme, as I've mentioned 50 million times, is that when a woman takes a picture of a new object she acquired, perhaps a video game, she's in the photo doing a selfie with it, whereas men just take a picture of the object. Men are focused on the object. Women are focused on the human element of it. I said last week that it's a good thing, actually. And I think, you know, for some reason, feminists get offended by the concept, despite the fact that it's actually more insulting to men. Men don't care about people. They care about stuff. Women care about people. Makes sense.
So I, like, in the best of faith, if this was true, if it turns out that on average on social media, men don't ever show themselves, but, you know, women do, would that, if it was true, 100% true, and men just show you objects, just wood or fish, if that was 100% true, would that have anything to do perhaps with how society as a whole treats women and men? And how the value of a woman, both in her social media and in general society, is going to be based upon her looks, and how pretty she is, how attractive she is. And that's up to a point, mind you, because if you ever try and monetize that or be in control of that, well, I mean, come on, then you're gonna get in the female section of the Daily Mail.
But that brings us to this story. Single mom of 4 who quit her job as a receptionist to be an OnlyFans model reveals she now rakes in $30,000 a month after enlisting her 14-year-old sister to shoot her racy content. I don't quite understand that last part.
Yeah, that's abusing a relative. Don't do that. Do not hire teenagers to film your OnlyFans. That's deplorable. It's probably one of the reasons why, yet again, there's a headline story here for the Daily Mail to use to, again, vilify sex workers as a totality.
But sure. Chloe Sasha, 29 from Arizona, turned to adult content creation for extra cash. She soon started earning thousands of dollars and quit her job as a receptionist. The mom of 4 now enlists her younger sisters to help despite facing backlash.
Tim's spin on this is that women don't want to work. That's how he started this video. Being like, is it really showing you that women are in control of their own bodies, sexuality, the monetization of it? Or is it showing you that women just don't want to work? You know, they'd rather take the easy way.
This is the trend, my friend.
By the way, this is something that, like, if these same women then tried to have other jobs, say either in politics or in any other field, all of a sudden, it seems like a lot of men want to use it, sometimes in horrifying ways, revenge porn, posting it online, of their previous activities to shame them.
I have to wonder, let's make up a conspiracy theory. Here you go. Conspiracy theory. Men, venture capital firms, are secretly creating fake accounts to give women large sums of money to force them to quit their jobs. There you go. I suppose the question is, given the
you can't just do that. Hey, here's a conspiracy for you. Wink. Conspiracy. And then I suppose, I mean, now that it's out there, now that I've said it, now that it's just a matter of public record, what does that say about society?
choice between doing adult content and working, what would the average woman choose? I don't think it would be adult content. I don't. But honestly, I think it's a rock and a hard place. I wonder if the average woman would choose to work with people. We see that in work. Women tend to take jobs like nurses and teachers, working with other people. Men take jobs working with things because men care about things and women care about people. Again, it's neutral, but you could argue that's more beneficial to women because the human experience is the most important thing. But this brings me here. How many women do not want to?
I love how he recontextualizes, or tries anyways, over and over and over to be like, this isn't a sexist segment. I'm not here to like vilify women or make it sound like they're lazy or make it sound like sex work isn't work. None of that. No, I'm not even doing that when I spread these weird ass conspiracy theories and then just after that continue on as if that conspiracy theory is now just truth and we're going to talk about it fully. This is actually, you know, kind of a slight on men at the end of the day. Why are you so obsessed with objects, my dudes? You know, come on, boys. You can do better than that.
Working 9 to 5. How many women are working jobs that are not about people, insurance companies or something, just like filing paperwork? Do they really want to have those jobs, or would they prefer to socialize, interact, have a family? Maybe not even have a family.
It's got to be wild because, like, when you see this headline, you then have to craft what is my segment going to be, right? His segment that he's planning, he's going to do and upload. More women quit to do OnlyFans. Women are quitting the workplace. Trend continues, ending feminism.
Be wine moms. Your kids are grown up, moved out. You're drinking wine with the girls mid-morning. What's preferable? I'm sorry.
Between filing paperwork and being your own boss. I don't know, Tim. You're your own boss. I mean, you could always quit that to go file paperwork.
I think anybody who says that the average woman would rather work is just lying. Because nobody works. Most people don't like working. I saw this post about the
Most people don't like working for minimum wage in jobs that are incredibly taxing, difficult, and monotonous. That's all of us. I've had a lot of those jobs. They're incredibly taxing, difficult, and monotonous. The monotonous part is one of the worst parts, you know. Sometimes when you think like, oh, well, that looks like an easy position, it's like, hey, $18 an hour to be a museum security guard. Neat. What do you have to do? Oh, you have to stand in 1 or 2 rooms of the museum for about 8 or 9 hours a day, just standing there. Can I listen to podcasts? Nope. Oh, no. We can't have you distracted. You got to make sure that everything is safe. So that's your job. And then, you know, it may become a game of you counting down hours and you'll find it's kind of a neat effect. Time just slows. It's, yeah, you can actually, you'll have the power to distort time. You'll be a regular Einstein out there. You'll really experience relativity when you start doing that shit. And you just stand there for hours and hours and hours, just waiting for each second to go by, because that's another second that gets you closer to not having to do that thing anymore. The thing that you hate.
bell curve between men and women. And it showed that men overwhelmingly are stupid, but there are more male geniuses than women. This is the greater male.
This is what Jordan Peterson likes invoking. This is one of the references I get. By the way, this is showing you it's a bell curve based on IQ levels. So we're at skull measuring territory right now.
Variability hypothesis makes sense. So you have most women being of average intelligence, around 100, slightly below, slightly above. And then you have the majority of morons being made up of men, and the majority of geniuses being made up by men. So this means most women are...
It's a great position to try and start a conversation if you're a Jordan Peterson or you're someone who wants to talk about red pill shit, because you in both ends don't want to come off as a sexist. It would be weird if I said that there was just like a universality for all the intelligence of all women. That would be kind of a strange statement based on this kind of archaic measuring system that's now been kind of fully debunked, especially people who try to manipulate it to say that it actually has something to say about the intelligence levels of invisible or made up ideas like race or stuff like that. But either way, we're here and the conversation's being had. So yeah, just so you know, the most intelligent people on the planet in far as potential are dudes. Okay, dudes are the smartest. That's just okay. Guys smartest. We got that. But don't worry, I'm not trying to be like weird. Also, you know, the people who aren't smart, that they also are the dudes. You know, women and they're in the middle there somewhere. So yeah.
Interacting with dumb guys. Must suck, I must say. But I say when I look...
Oh, I'm definitely gonna clip that.
Look at this. I'm like, nobody likes working, right? There's very few men who are of high...
Can we also put that she is working? Well, yeah, but she's working, and then she just got the freebie that every single woman knows is just waiting for them if they want it. Any single woman who wants to at any given time can have just like, it's not even a job, it's just free. You just get money. You just get, all you have to do is just sit there, and then all of a sudden it's just like money, just like an unlimited money, you know? And so that's what's happening. This is the end of feminism.
Eye level who want to work endlessly into the bone. This past week, I went on the Fresh and Fit podcast.
And that was a bit. Okay, well, there you have it.
And I was asked what I do to relax. And there are some things I do. I like playing poker. I like skateboarding. But skateboarding it's all work. All of it is in the same mindset. That's why I'm kind of like nothing. I work all the time. I don't play... there is no circumstance where I like to zone out. That doesn't exist for me. And Myron was saying the same thing from Fresh and Fit podcast. If I'm not working, I'm stressed out. So what stops me from stressing out? Working. But that's rare, isn't it? So I look at this. You've got a young guy who would rather not work. He wants to play video games.
He's just so much better than women, females. You know, lazy females don't want to work. But I have the most work ethic.
Games all day. They exist. Hikikomori exists. They don't want to go out. They don't want to socialize. Sorry. Ain't nothing you can do that's going to make you money. Women, on the other hand, can get naked on camera. And guys are going to give them money.
Not work.
So the question then becomes, to what degree
Not work.
Are women going to quit their job?
Oh, just wild thing. Don't know if you knew this, but like, dudes have OnlyFans too. Oh yeah, you can see any number of schlong. From the largest to the smallest, depending on what your preference may be, of all shapes, sizes, and colors. That's right, on OnlyFans. A lot of dudes doing that. Some of them are doing it because their audiences are primarily other gay men, or perhaps straight men who are just having themselves a little journey down a questioning path, if you will. Also women, yes, straight women who are interested in looking at the secular flesh are also subscribing to these handsome hunks and looking at their photos. Without... I would say exception, every single person again who I've ever spoken to or interviewed who is a sex worker has not talked about how it's the easiest life in the world. I have not experienced that. I haven't seen people just being like, oh man, it's like, you want to get rich quick. All you got to do, you just set up a camera, you take some photos, and then boom, just thousands of dollars later. It's every single one of them talks about how it is a hustle like anything else, how there's so much competition like anything else, how it's so difficult to get noticed like any other form of social media. You got to try and do a bunch of stuff to promote yourself. You got to try and cross-pollinate with other people who are doing the same thing. You got to try and get interviews. You got to try and go on podcasts. You got to try and talk about it. You constantly have to compete with other people who, in like most structures, dominate the platform already and are very well known and are the people who people want to support financially.
To get free money for just being naked. There's a huge social crisis we are facing if this turns out to be true. So you can go back and talk about...
If what turns out to be true, you have one headline from Female on the Daily Mail.
Rockefellers, the Rothschilds, and whoever else, and blame them for it. The conspiracy theory there is that they realized they could double the workforce and slash wages. They said, we need more workers. Let's get women to work. Women can work. Why should they be at home? But then who's going to raise the kids? They didn't care. They wanted short-term profits. Here you are. Well, now, Perhaps the great conspiracy is to get women to stop working because it's easier to get money doing this. But the question then becomes, as these women get older and become less desirable, fact, how are they going to?
And therein lies your value. That's your worth as a femoid, as a female. That's the value you have. And while you're young and attractive, sure, you have the ability at any time, if you want, simply to be naked and to make millions of dollars. Every woman does by default. That's just what happens. But that value will diminish. It will, yes. As society no longer wants to smash, so too will your bank account.
To make money. This 29-year-old woman, she better be saving all that $30,000 a month, which honestly, a lot of money. I don't know about enough. You know,
what happens when the wrinkles set in, baby? Let's hope you got some savings. Can't depend on men anymore then, can ya?
I start saving for retirement. Because how many years can you really do this? For real. Now, the average woman is not going to be making $30,000 a month off this. Just not reality. Apparently,
wait, but like just not even like 2 minutes ago, you just said that apparently any woman who wants to can just get naked and make thousands of dollars. That was the premise. That was your premise.
I think most women who have tried it only made a couple $100 a month. A couple $100 ain't nothing. But for a lot of these women, they are basically selling away their dignity in an exchange for a large amount of money up front.
So you disrespect women, you think women are objects, you think women's value comes from their attractiveness, you think all women have the ability to just make untold amounts of money if they ever decide to simply put pictures of themselves online, and at the same time that money will diminish as they get older. It's also part of a conspiracy that they're all choosing to leave the workforce to go do this, while at the same time not everyone can do this. Just so you know, not everyone can make lots of money off OnlyFans, and then maybe, just maybe, there's absolutely no point here at all, except for that this is just fucking incel rhetoric. That's the only conclusion one could come to from a segment like this.
Perhaps that makes sense. Perhaps what happens then is they can save this money, create a retirement fund, and then never have to work again. I think the terrifying reality is you're going to have a bunch of single women without kids. Of course, this lady does have kids, but there's going to be a lot of single women who have no kids, who do porn, and then when they're 45, the money is going, I mean, by the time they're in their late 30s, the money is going down. And then they're going to be unable to work. They're going to be shunned by a lot of people. Maybe that's why they're trying to normalize sex work. And then they're not going to have money. My friends, I've talked about how I think the future is going to be conservative. I want you to understand this doesn't happen in a vacuum. As liberals abort their kids, sterilize their kids, or plain don't have kids, and conservatives do, the future is skewing in the conservative influence direction. Of course, it doesn't discount the left's attempt to indoctrinate children. The point is, that's not a strong enough pull factor. Having kids and teaching them your values and having them of your genetic line is substantially more powerful than giving them a creepy book.
Wait, whoa, that was a new part you just slipped in there. Of their genetic line. Interesting. Huh. Yeah. Creepy book. Are we talking about the same book that you always reference over and over and over? The Scariest of Scary. The one that you used to slander Emma Vigeland, saying that she apparently endorses pedophilia and abusing children. That one, the ultimate gotcha. The one that you actually keep on your desk, by the way. It's on the Tim Pool's. There's a whole bunch of trinkets on Tim Pool's like desk that they all broadcast from, and one of them is that book that shall not be named.
Now imagine this scenario. The future is overwhelmingly populated by conservatives, and liberals aren't having kids, but those liberals are still alive. They're older, and they're in nursing homes. What do you think's going to happen? If the future, as I...
You keep saying that, like he said that in so many segments. Do you think all babies are born with political ideology? It's so wild. Like, none of these people believe that people could be born left-handed, or people could be born trans, or people could be born gay, but they're apparently all born conservative. Oh, they're all born right-wingers.
See, it does.
They're all born Christian.
Then these more conservative leading individuals are going to pull entitlements. And they're going to say, that's your fault, not mine. I'm not paying for you. They're going to come to this 70-year-old woman and say, you decided you'd do porn and blow your money, and now I've got to pay for it? Not happening. Uh-oh.
Yeah, so this is for, like, just hardcore, you know, sexism and shaming women in every possible way. Just like, hey, so apparently women are kind of lazy. They're not object oriented like dudes are. They all want to quit their jobs, and they all can at any given time because there's the option if anyone wants. If you're a woman, you can just make tens of thousands of dollars by starting an OnlyFans and taking pictures of yourself. But then, of course, when that happens, you're never going to be able to start a family because, again, you're a whore, and because of that, like, you prostituted yourself, and because of that, like, obviously, and then you're going to look towards a man to be able to help you, and then when you look towards a man to be able to help you, he's going to say no because he's going to know or find out that you had an OnlyFans at one point. So sorry, yeah, game over. Should have started a family, and now every single child in the world is conservative. Got it.
What? I don't know. You end up with a bunch of former hookers and prostitutes all over the streets that can't work and they're doing drugs, or, I mean,
like I can't even parody this shit anymore. I do something, and then just like seconds later, Tim's just being worse.
more horrifyingly, they just don't make it. That's the future I see. But I must be honest. Conservatives have been, of recent, calling about bringing institutions back, which means it may come to a point where if the future becomes conservative, women like this, and I'm not saying this to be a dick to this woman, she's making a lot of money, but she may end up finding herself institutionalized. Now, she's got...
So is that a threat? Because I know you want conservatives to come and have total power. Sure, you've made that pretty evident. So conservatives come to power, you're going to institutionalize sex workers or models? Wild policy. Because, like, I know how he talks about Joe Biden, right? They're going to come into your house, they're going to take your kids, and you'll see what the future holds under that, blah, 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 for thinking the wrong thoughts and all this shit. It's like, oh, by the way, yeah, so one of our ideas is that we institutionalize all sex workers.
Kids. Those kids are going to grow up. Kids aren't going to let their mom, go that route. But for a lot of these single childless women who have gone the route of OnlyFans and not saved money, many of these women who have gone the route of selling their
¿Por qué no los dos?
They're going to end up institutionalized.
By who? By you? By public policy? By the state? That seems pretty fascist.
You're going to get conservative-leaning individuals who say, we will not allow you to be on the streets. We're going to help you. And so for these women who can't make money on OnlyFans anymore or whatever it is, in fact, I actually think these women are all doomed, right? Because what's going to happen is men are going to create AI women, and it's going to be men, titillating other men while pretending to be women, which already happens. But now with AI, no one's going to need these women to do this. Why pay a woman? Now, some women will run these companies, but...
I don't know. I've never heard someone invent so many ways to say that he views women as objects. And that object's got to be hot, just over and over and over. I mean, y'all know you can be replaced, right? It's so Joe over. Like now AI is out. You can make AI porn. AI porn is a thing. Did you know about it? It's like, yes, AI porn does exist. Absolutely. What's your point? Well, I'm just saying, because it used to be that women could actually make money, that any woman just by going naked, they're then, yeah. But what if it's a man getting another man to get off? Is that gay, bro?
If geniuses are overwhelmingly male, then the highest level of success in the businesses is going to skew male. Men are going to create AI girlfriends that are indistinguishable from real women, and men are going to pay to interact with them. I don't think we can even begin to understand how insane this is all going to be.
Blade Runner something.
But you look now at where Midjourney is with these AI generated videos. We are a year or two away from being able to just tell a computer, make me an episode of The Simpsons, and it will. And you'll notice weird things.
Tim, do you think not a single conservative dude has any interest? Do you think just by definition every conservative man is just 100% eager to both enter a relationship, start one, impregnate their wife, start a family, raise the family, every single one, just because that's the values that all conservatives are supposed to share? Not any of those people has ever watched porn. Not any of those people has ever subscribed to an OnlyFans account. Not any of those people would ever be interested in, say, AI generated relationships, which yes are coming. But it's not a uniquely uniquely liberal target. It's not like, well, all those, sexless, loser, liberal men who are all just, floundering right now, giving all their money away to OnlyFans are going to start giving all their money away to, the AI girlfriends. And the whole thing falls apart. Yeah.
About it, you'll say, something's not quite right. 3-4 years from now, there's not going to be art anymore. There's not going to be music. Imagine being a graphic artist. You're gone. The writers are striking, Hollywood writers, because they know AI can write for them instead. Already, I can make images.
It's more they know that like studios are going to do what studios and any industry does in terms of their automation principles. They're going to do things that could make the lives of workers much better. When you automate, you could have a lot of menial tasks that were previously done by people suddenly done by, machines, like in the auto industry. But rather than making the lives for their workers better or improving their quality of life, they're going to fire them en masse, and then they're going to start hiring less people to be able to do the work of many more people. So more work is going to be done by less people who can then try and mass produce products at the same time, which is inevitably leading them to become shittier and shittier. Obviously, I would watch the news, some more news on the movie industry that just came out. It's very good. That really explains why so much of the movies that come out right now are shit, and why all of these major studios are just bombing after bombing after bombing because they've reached critical mass and saturation where, like, audiences are just fucking completely done with the sequels, with the prequels. Like, there used to be major movie events and they were like once a year, and that was the big film. Jaws. Have you seen Jaws? Indiana Jones. Back to the Future. Like, incredible cinematic experiences. A War in the Stars, that kind of stuff. And then you go and you'd be like, wow, that was wild. I can't believe we all watched that. That was nuts. You got to see it. It's the biggest movie of the year. There's 2 of those a week now. Every week, where it's like this movie costs like $400 million to make, and it's another superhero you might not be totally familiar with, but you're going to be excited because it's the biggest moment of the year up against another one of those. But don't worry, this one's not a superhero movie. It's a sequel. This one's a sequel to a franchise you already know and love. Yeah, so Jurassic Park 12. It's out. You gotta be there. It's the biggest event of the year this week. You gotta watch it before the next Mission Impossible comes out. And then Fast and Furious, you gotta, like, those are all major events. You gotta go watch those major. You got to. Yeah, get out there. Spend $25 to $30, sit in the theater for 2.5 hours and experience the biggest event of the day. Now there's another one coming out a couple days later. So yeah, get ready for that one though. It's gonna be exciting.
I don't need a graphic artist. Now, if we want precision and good art...
Yeah, and Disney's part is even more complex because they've kind of just built this universe where you have to be so invested in so much of their properties to be able to understand upcoming properties. Like, you can't just watch The Mandalorian. You can't just enjoy The Mandalorian for what it is. A good show about fetch quests. That's what it is. It's a cutscene fetch quest show, and I was fine with that. I enjoyed that for those first couple seasons. I do like my, fucking Baby Yoda. It's cute. Who doesn't fucking love Zaddy, together at last in a show, and it's about fetch quests. What are we going to do this episode? We're going to fetch something or solve something, and then we'll move on to the next one. That's what it was. But now when you watch the new season, it's like, yeah, to actually understand what's taking place, you have to have watched 2 other series that we produced, and you have to have watched them in their totality. Even if the very idea of us kind of resurrecting a whole bunch of either actors who haven't directly consented to this or dead actors as old characters in our shows in perpetuity using AI technology is a little icky to you, you've still got to watch along and follow every single one of those other shows to truly understand what's happening in this show. And then when that new movie comes out, the biggest event of the year, when that movie comes out, you better have followed all of it. All of it. All right, we're talking all fucking like 40 plus movies, all the TV shows, all this. You have to have followed all of it to understand all the references. Because, that's what's expected of you now. So hopefully you've had a lot of free time to catch up before you embark. I haven't finished it, Winston. I heard, like, I watched the first 2 episodes of that show, and then afterwards I was like, nothing about this is gripping to me, I'm not really pulled in. It just seems like another Star Wars show. But then other people were like, it gets better, so I was like, oh, maybe it gets better. I don't know. Yeah, I haven't finished it. I watched like the first 2
really
episodes.
Close to the point where the AI is gonna be able to do it all of it, even movies. There will be no art, there'll be no music, no TV shows.
So here's the good news about all this, by the way. I know this sounds dystopian, and obviously a lot of people are really worried. You will be able to get completely AI-generated trash, but here's the other good thing. Is that stuff in its current form, or even in future forms where it's very advanced and can make videos that aren't just horror nightmare stuff where people's faces are always melting and stuff, like it could actually make it look like a real movie, you're still going to need human beings, because all of that stuff is trained on the writing or the art or the music or the talking of humans. It's trained. These are deep learning AI systems that sounds very advanced and scary, but what they are is they are scouring just endless amounts of information, and they are taking that in, and then based on that information, They are doing an approximation simulator for you based on your prompt. So based on your prompt and its prior information that it's collected, it's now going to put out what it feels is a sentence that is going to be most accurate, what is mathematically the most precise to achieve something that looks now like human writing. And then it comes out and we're all impressed, and sure, just like everyone else, I'm like, yeah, it's neat that I can type in any prompt now and I can get like, you know, do this in the style of Jurassic 5 and it'll break it up by each separate MC, and then you'll be like, oh, okay, that kind of sounds a little bit like, you know, the Charlie Tuna. Okay, I'm kind of into this, right? But that doesn't make it, you know, real AI. It's not a thinking conscious machine on the other end of the screen that is actually doing that. Again, we're talking about ones and zeros, just in a very, very advanced, complex form, and then those same ones and zeros are approximating what you want to see. So even with Tim Pool's premonition here that the future will not be friendly, in fact, it'll be horrifying because AI will generate everything. There's going to be a lot of content that is going to become more sophisticated. You won't be able to just turn away every YouTube video thinking immediately that it's clearly AI. You know, when you sometimes click on a news report and it's like, tonight on the news, this immediate thing has happened that we must discuss, and you're like, oh, this is obviously just text to speech. This is not a real channel. Yeah, it's maybe going to sound, you know, really sophisticated. You know, it's maybe going to sound like T Swifty for a couple seconds, and you're like, oh, is this Taylor Swift? Sounds like her. And then it's going to go into the story, but it's going to be written by ChatGPT and stuff like that. The stuff is still being generated based on human thought and ideas. There's like, when you reach like a capitalistic zenith of an industry like we're seeing with the film industry right now, you will also see people turning towards expressions of art and culture and seeking that out instead. That's one of the reasons why you'll still have independent studios or small studios producing films that suddenly just take off, you know, and suddenly resonate with a lot of people. And then, you know, what is considered an indie film, even though it's like, what, 30 or 40 million dollars, you know, Everything Everywhere All at Once is suddenly seen as one of the best pictures, if not the best picture of the year. And then the two pictures back to back that had the biggest box office gross this year were both not sequels or trequels or prequels. You know, it was Oppenheimer and Barbie. Still major studio releases. One of them is based on a very established franchise. The other is based on another established franchise, that of Christopher Nolan. He's just very well known, and people go to see a Nolan film just to see a Nolan film. Who doesn't love the spectacle? But yeah, I think people are kind of getting really tired of every single weekend having to go out to, you know, whatever is the next one, Avengers 15, Age of Sequels, stuff like that. Well, that was sexist as fuck. Holy shit.
Do you enjoy the Serfs but prefer not to have to use your eyeballs? Many are saying this. Well, we've got the solution for you. It's the Serf Times in podcast form. Available on most major podcasting networks now. If you enjoy it, please consider leaving a good review and feedback because it really helps the show out, apparently, and it's free, just like the podcast.
Thank you so much for watching, everybody. This show is produced by amazing people like you, and if you want to help us out, please consider donating over at patreon.com/theserfs. The show is made possible thanks to Amazing Fletch, Anna Loves Riley, Ariane McCarthy, Cheryl Alvarez, Doug Cady, Everything Important, Hagbard Celine, Laminia Panza, Matthew Scarborough, Multimondi, Omni, Peanut Butter Blondie, Political Pappy, Quiet 185, Rachel K, Riley and Anna, Roller Dragon, Ruby K, Sir Nickus, Spinach Monster, Stellar Vision, Sebastian Demo, Tech Tink, Trevbot EXE, Words Greenwood, and not to mention all of the amazing and fabulous people you now see before you.